Severe weather continues to roll through the eastern half of the nation, bringing with it high winds, heavy rain, hail, and reports of tornadoes. This is the same system which earlier this week brought severe weather and widespread damage from Texas to Iowa. Hello and welcome to this edition of Weather Center, brought to you by Cadillac. I'm Arch Kennedy.
And I'm Carl Parker. From New York to Washington, much of the megalopolis has been hit by this system. Let's take a look at where it is right now and what it's doing. And this has been a really active night once again, second day in a row, actually the third day in a row. And we've had tremendous thunderstorms all the way from New York right on down towards the Carolinas through much of the afternoon and evening, all ahead of this boundary right here, much the way that we did yesterday. And we still do have some storms to deal with here. You can see the lightning still flashing in parts of Connecticut as well as down towards New York and New Jersey and even parts of the Delmarva. Our severe thunderstorm watches have been dropped, so these are no longer valid. The threat is diminishing rapidly because this area of showers and storms is moving into cooler air and more stable air, but we still do have a few areas of concern. Earlier today, tremendous storms in the Baltimore and D.C. area. Now just some lingering rain on the eastern side of both cities and across the bay and over towards the Delmarva. But wow, you really did have some active weather today. Andrews Air Force Base on the southeast side of D.C., just off the Beltway, reported a 115-mile-an-hour wind gust along with a tornado. That is incredible. So obviously some very, very severe weather here in the greater D.C. area, and we've had many, many reports from this entire region of hail and high winds and tornadoes too, as well as back up into parts of New York. We'll take you farther northward now. We're still seeing some fairly active weather in Connecticut and down across Long Island, and then south of Long Island out over the open water. Very heavy rain continues into New York itself and down towards Philly. It's about to end though. It should be tapering off shortly, and it looks like things are looking much better in south central Pennsylvania. I want to take you to Harrisburg. We had a very active afternoon in the greater Harrisburg area. You can see the wind and the rain there. There was a gust at the airport in Middletown of 69 miles an hour. And that is a lot of wind. This is taken at about 6 p.m. just west of Harrisburg, and there have been some reports of damage from around the region. Again, things are looking much, much better now. The active weather a little farther eastward. These storms are essentially collapsing at this point, but there's still going to be a lot of very, very heavy rain, and we have had a number of flash flood warnings in parts of New York and apparently widespread flooding in south central New York, so you do want to keep that in mind as you make your plans for the rest of tonight. We take you farther northward here, again some storms in Connecticut, and you might hear the rumble of thunder in Boston, but it's been pretty cool here all day. Temperatures have been in the 50s, so again we have pretty cool air and stable air ahead of this line of storms. Not much for these storms to work with, not much fuel, and that's why things are really going to begin to calm down. High temperatures, 59 degrees in Boston, 72 in New York, 91 in D.C. There was all of that potential energy, all of that available heat and moisture for those storms earlier today, 96 around the Tidewater. And right now we're still at 87 in Norfolk, but 66 in D.C., that rain-cooled air, and behind the front, 67 in Philly, 59 in New York, and 60 now in Pittsburgh. We have had some active weather along the front a little farther southward, and with more on that now, here is Arch.
Yes, the cold front has cleared you in Atlanta. It's also clearing Charlotte area, but we're continuing to see some showers develop along the frontal boundary and thunderstorm activity as well. Nothing severe anymore. We're looking at just some thunderstorm activity, showers here and there. High pressure really building in behind this front, and you can see the line of showers that extend from central sections of North Carolina through middle Georgia and on down into southwestern portions of Georgia. And around New Orleans, you're faring a little better. Most of the activity has remained south and east of you. As we zoom in a little closer into Raleigh area, you can see a batch of moisture. Again, not a lot, not hefty rain, but looks like a little scattered variety continuing to move along the front. More pronounced activity as we head south and east of Macon, Georgia, as we head along I-16 here, farther south. We're continuing to see showers and thunderstorms develop. Some moved through Albany, and now that gradually moving its way right along the boundary here, continuing to progress east along I-75 here between Albany, actually just north and east of Albany. Well, as we head to farther south and west now, a lot of the cluster of thunderstorm activity south of New Orleans is dying off as we get through the actually past the afternoon heating, and our rainfall amounts will be around a tenth to a half an inch in southern Georgia with that cluster of showers developing there. Temperatures temperatures are cooling off, still fairly mild though. 67 in Nashville, 66 in Dallas, but we notice ahead of that front still very warm air here in Columbia, 85. It's 80 in Raleigh-Durham. Well, we're seeing some improving conditions, but windy and cooler conditions into the Midwest. Carl will tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely cooler in the Midwest. We actually had a little bit of snow at International Falls this morning. Right now, just some lingering showers and some low-level moisture around the lakes, and it's quite a bit cooler as compared to what you had yesterday. 55 was your high temperature in Chicago today, 48 in Minneapolis, 70 in Detroit, but you did cool off quickly. Now 52 in Detroit, and that's 27 degrees colder than where you were yesterday at this time, 22 degrees colder in Indianapolis, and 15 degrees colder in Chicago. I want to take you westward now. We've got some wet weather to talk about. More on that. Here's Arch.
Yes, we have an upper level, though, that really hasn't been moving much over the past several days. It continues to sit here and spin off in the Pacific, but we're starting to see a little forward motion here with this system. We're seeing the moisture moving into northern sections of California, into Oregon, and into western Washington. Well, you see the surface map dry elsewhere across the Intermountain West, but as we look farther toward the west, you see the frontal boundary, and that's lurking off the coast here, and we see the moisture working into western Oregon and Washington in the way of light rain for the most part. Just south of Seattle near Olympia, Hoquiam was getting some light rain. Portland, the past few hours, a little bit of light rain reported here and there towards Salem and near Astoria. But again, these amounts are going to be around the 10th to the half-inch range overnight through mid-morning on your Sunday. It's 61 in Seattle right now, Portland 62, as well as Reno, 59 in San Francisco, 62 at Salt Lake City, Denver at 55, but 89 degrees in Phoenix. Now Carl will take us through the forecast.
And it's Mom's Day tomorrow, and I'll tell you, it's going to be a very, very nice day in many, many areas. It will be cooler here in the Northeast and the Midwest, a little breezy, but pretty nice. Not bad at all. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s, a lot of sunshine, high pressure very much in control, just beautiful here in the Southeast. Now the exceptions will be Florida, some scattered showers and thunder showers along that lingering boundary in Florida. And then back here in Texas, we'll have a return flow, so a bit more humid and scattered showers and thunder showers popping up around the valley in West Texas late in the day. And again, you'll see that wet weather in the Pacific Northwest that Arch told you about, but most of the country in great shape for Mom's Day tomorrow. And how fitting is that? Precipitation forecast, still some heavy amounts here, parts of Connecticut as well as down towards the southeast. Overnight lows, 20s and 30s in the upper Midwest, 50s and 60s down to the southeast, 70s in South Florida. High temperatures tomorrow in the 50s and 60s in the Midwest and Northeast. Much of the southern half of the country in the 70s and the 80s, and still blazing.
Taxpayer dollars. But when a supervisor